Very thorough report. It's been a long time in the making. I know the Inspector General has examined thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of documents to get to this point. And I think it's going to shed a lot of light on what the Judiciary Committee and the Oversight and Government Reform Committee have been investigating for the past 8 months. And that is this unbelievable bias on the part of our nation's premier law enforcement organization, the several leaders at the top of the organization, in handling one investigation, Hillary Clinton's, compared to an investigation into the so-called Trump-Russia collusion, about which so far there has been no evidence brought forth.
Exactly. So do you believe there were laws broken, sir?
I do believe that there have been laws broken. I think that the matter with regard to Andrew McCabe and leaks related to that reflect on that. But I also think that there are a number of other things that we have uncovered, examining the Peter Strzok, Lisa Page texts, for example, that show activities within the Department of Justice and the Federal Bureau of Investigation that I hope the Inspector General's report will shed light on and may make it clear whether or not criminal laws have been violated. But certainly one thing is very clear, and that is that the Federal Bureau of Investigation needed a house cleaning. The current new director, Christopher Wray, has been doing that. I think he's made great progress. And we need to make sure that this never happens again. We've got the 2020 presidential elections coming up in not too long a time, and it's very, very important that the FBI gets back to its protocols with regard to how it conducts investigations, particularly ones as sensitive as these have been.
Yeah, Devin Nunes came on this program a month ago or a month and a half ago and said, we've done our digging and we've done our due diligence, and now we know that there was actually no official intelligence used to actually launch an investigation into Donald Trump. And here we have the special counsel continuing. So let me ask you, do you believe there will be an accountability at the end of the day? You don't have the authority to prosecute. The Inspector General doesn't have the authority to actually prosecute. So how will there be accountability?
Well, I think there already has been accountability to some extent based upon the people who are no longer at the Federal Bureau of Investigation, including the director and the deputy director. But I also think that this report is going to shed additional light and put some of the pieces together because he's had the opportunity to examine more documents than any of the committees in Congress have been able to examine to this point. So we're very interested in seeing this. We will examine it. We will have a hearing. Part of that hearing will be classified so we can get into the classified aspects of his report, but we're also going to have a public hearing so that the public can learn as much as possible about this investigation, and we will have the Inspector General there to answer our questions.
So what happens now in terms of the referrals of criminal charges? The last IG report from Michael Horowitz recommended criminal charges against Andrew McCabe, the #2 deputy director at the FBI. This weekend, Jim Comey has been taunting the president on Twitter, basically taking shots at him over the relationship between the U.S. and Canada, and we are expecting that there could be some real significant issues brought up about Jim Comey in this upcoming IG report. So what are your thoughts on that in terms of what happens next?
Well, two things. First of all, the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, did appoint United States Attorney Huber from Utah to look into the matters also being looked into by the Inspector General. He does have prosecutorial authority, and he can make referrals the Inspector General can make referrals for prosecution. So if there is evidence of criminal wrongdoing, and I believe we've seen some already, as you just referenced, the Inspector General's reference with regard to Andrew McCabe, we will see that happen. But the question is, who will actually do that prosecuting? Will it be Mr. Huber, or do we need somebody who is completely independent of the Department of Justice? Mr. Huber got the matter outside of what we call main justice, outside of Washington, D.C., but I think, and many others in the Congress continue to think, that we need to have an independent special counsel, separate and apart from the work that Mr. Mueller is doing, to handle these potential criminal referrals and to look into this matter for the possibility of finding further matters beyond what the Inspector General does.
All right, we'll talk more about this once that IG report hits on Thursday. We're going to have a lot on that on the Fox Business Network on the morning show, Mornings with Maria. Let me turn to your immigration bill. Will it ever get to the floor?
I think it is coming to the floor. It is coming to the floor this month. And the discussions that we've been having in the Congress, we had a very important House Republican conference this past week where 40, 50 members of the conference got up and spoke. There is a lot of desire to work together to pass a bill. We've had some negotiations going on led by our leadership, but with people from across the spectrum of the conference in the room. And I think that that is going to yield a bill that can get 218 votes. A lot of the things that are in the legislation that I introduced, along with Mike McCall, chairman of the Homeland Security Committee, Raul Labrador, chairman of the Immigration Subcommittee, Martha McSally, chairman of the Border Security Subcommittee, will be in this bill. But there will be some changes made to it as well. And our hope is that this will get 218 votes. It'll turn off the discharge petition, which is a very bad way to legislate and would likely lead to a very unbalanced bill where the Democrats would effectively control that process, joining with a small number of Republicans to pass something that is not going to become law. This effort that we have ongoing right now has the prospect of actually becoming law. And I think that we should continue to be all hands on deck, like all of the conference is fully engaged in this now, to get this done and get this done this month.
All right. We will see about that. Is it fair to say, though, nothing happens on immigration before the midterm elections, though, sir?
Well, I think we'll have a bill out of the House very soon. That'll put a lot of pressure back on the United States Senate because this is an issue both in terms of solving the problem for the DACA recipients and for doing the president's 4 pillars, making sure our borders are secure, interior enforcement, and moving away from chain migration to a merit-based system. These are things that the American people want and can get.
Mr. Chairman, good to see you, sir. Thanks so much.